It begins with a shadow. In the western heart of India, carved into a mountain of volcanic rock, lies something that defies logic, time, and perhaps even belief. A temple not built, but excavated. Not assembled piece by piece, but released like a sculpture from within stone. The Kailasa Temple of Ellora. At first glance, it looks impossible. A towering, intricately carved monument dedicated to Lord Shiva, stretching nearly 100 feet high, alive with elephants, gods, and celestial dancers, all carved from a single mountain. No bricks, no mortar, just one giant piece of rock. How do you build something like this without building it at all? To understand Kailasa, you have to forget everything you know about architecture. Most temples begin from the ground up, but this one began from the top down. Imagine this. Centuries ago, thousands of artisans standing at the edge of a basalt cliff, chiseling downwards with hand tools. Hammers, chisels, picks. Every strike, irreversible. One mistake, and an entire decade's work could collapse into dust. And yet, what emerged from that cliff is one of the largest monolithic structures on Earth. So precise that modern engineers still debate how it was done. Some say it would have taken more than 100 years, others 50, but ancient records suggest it might have taken less than 20. That's almost unthinkable. The story begins in the 8th century, under the reign of King Krishna I of the Rashtrakuta dynasty. According to legend, his queen fell gravely ill and vowed that if she recovered, she would build a temple in honor of Lord Shiva, and she promised she'd see its shikara or tower before breaking her fast. The king called upon the finest sculptors and builders in the land. But how could they build an entire temple fast enough for the queen's wish? One architect, whose name has been lost to time, offered a daring idea: to carve the temple downward, directly from the mountain's heart. That way the shikara would appear first. It was an act of devotion and of madness. Even today, standing at the foot of Kailasa feels like standing inside an impossible dream. You walk through the gate, and the mountain opens up around you. A courtyard carved out of solid stone, walls rising 40 feet high, as if the earth itself had been hollowed into a cathedral. The temple sits in the center, flanked by freestanding sculptures of elephants and lions, each carved from the same seamless rock. There's no joint, no joinery, no sign of construction, only subtraction. Stone removed until only divinity remained. Engineers estimate that nearly 400,000 tons of rock were carved out to create Kailasa. No heavy machinery, no electricity, just human hands and unthinkable patience. Imagine the rhythm of those tools echoing through the mountain for years, the clang of metal on stone, the chants of craftsmen, the silence that followed each perfect cut. Art historians often describe Kailasa as a paradox of scale and detail, because while it's enormous, larger than the Parthenon in Greece, its carvings are unbelievably intricate. Every inch is alive with motion, deities in battle, cosmic dances, divine love stories, an entire universe frozen in stone. How did they achieve such precision without plans or blueprints? Some scholars believe the artisans carved small-scale clay models first, then reproduced them layer by layer as they descended. Others say they relied purely on geometry and memory, passing designs orally across generations. But maybe what drove them wasn't engineering at all. Maybe it was faith, the kind that blurs the line between human and divine effort. When you stand beneath the temple's towering pillars, sunlight pouring down from the open sky above, it's hard not to feel small. You can trace the path of those ancient chisels, still visible in the rock, like fingerprints of forgotten hands. You can almost hear them breathing through time. Modern engineers have tried to simulate the process digitally. They can't agree on how it was planned, or how long it took, or even how they removed the debris from such a confined space. There are no written records describing the method, only the result staring back in silence. And maybe that silence is the point. Because Kailasa isn't just a temple. It's a riddle about what humans are capable of when they believe in something beyond themselves. Every civilization leaves behind monuments to their gods. But this one feels different. It's not reaching toward heaven. It's releasing it from stone. As if the divine was already there, sleeping in the rock, waiting for someone brave enough to set it free. There's a strange irony in how we talk about places like this. We call them ancient engineering marvels, as if data or calculations could capture the soul of what happened here. But what if this wasn't an equation? What if it was a prayer carved into the bones of the earth? Even now, scientists argue over logistics, how many workers, how many years, what kind of tools. But none of that explains why it still takes your breath away. Why, after 1200 years, it still feels alive. Maybe that's because Kailasa isn't just about stone and symmetry. It's about the audacity of devotion. About a people who believed that God could be touched, if only they could carve deep enough. In the quiet of Ellora, when the tourists are gone and the sun begins to fall across the temple's face, the carvings glow gold for a moment, and you realize that you're not looking at a monument. You're looking at a conversation between human hands and eternity. So when we ask, how was the Kailasa Temple built? Maybe the real question isn't about tools or time. Maybe it's about imagination, about what humans can create when the act of creation itself becomes an offering. Because somewhere between stone and spirit, between mountain and man, they carved the impossible, and it has stood for 1200 years. As proof that sometimes faith itself can move mountains.